Check, check. Hello, hello. Oh, thank God. Thank God. Hey, what's up? We're talking Emerald Tablet today. We're talking Graham Hancock and that new documentary series. And what I would like to do is be have a conversation and invite you guys to see what you guys think. Speaking of which, archaeological find that broke history, Gobekli Tepe. Um, and talk specifically about everyone's love for Thoth and how sort of how set people are on Egyptian mythology or uh, it, my hopes for this conversation is to just expand our uh, understand or expand our curiosities involving ancient texts and stories and cultures and mythology, etc. For example, everyone's like Thoth, everyone's like Tahuti, everyone's like Anubis. Everyone's sort of stuck on the ancient Egyptian pantheon. Not that there's anything wrong with that, and not just because it's like, oh, we should be well rounded and you should like not that either. Specifically because as I'm watching, okay, so let me break this down. Graham Hancock in this series talks about a great cataclysm, the Younger Dryas, which happened about, I think, from 9 to 10,000 BC. It's about 12,000 years ago. And at this time, massive extinction, massive die out, massive shift in global water. So we're talking about Atlantis, we're talking about Lemuria, ancient continents that were under, um, that were below the new ocean level, basically are buried now. And so people, trying to get sidetracked. Um, all these stories, Quetzalcoatl, for example, from Mexico, has the same story. It's funny. Quetzalcoatl says that theirs came from the east. Right, a blonde or a person with advanced technology showed up, taught them how to farm, taught them civilization, essentially. But the Emerald Tablets say that Thoth first went to the west, right? To the west, going towards Egypt, land of Chem. If he were to go east, that would put him at Central America. Um, so, in other words, this person who we call Thoth, and we're sort of stuck on Thoth as this entity of Egyptian lore, is also could be the same dude that taught the Polynesians, that taught the Central Americans, the South Americans, that taught the Egyptians, that taught the Indians. They all have the same exact story. There was a global flood. Shit was chaos. Some dude shows up. Some people show up. They teach us advanced arts. They teach us advanced crafts, um, pa- magics and powers and lores. And then what do? They all end up building the same pyramids. Pyramids in Central America, pyramids in North America, pyramids in South America, pyramids all over the Mediterranean, Northern Africa, South Africa, Central Africa, China, Russia, Europe. They're everywhere, all popping up at the same time, all coming out of a culture that should have been still hunting mastodons with spears tied with sharpened rocks tied to the end of a stick. That's the level of engineering people had at 10,000 BC when they were building something like Gobekli Tepe, when they were building something like the pyramids, or putting together the temples in Sumeria. Point being, if you follow the lore, there's a damn good chance that whoever Thoth was went all over the world to teach people the same things. So to me, it tells me like, hey, I've been focusing on Thoth and like what he taught through the Emerald Tablets, or what he taught through the lens of the Egyptians, or even the Greeks. And it's like, hell, bro, like if the story matches, If we did the same thing all over the world, taught the same things, the same types of engineering, around the same time with the same cataclysmic flood, we're probably talking the same dude. So shouldn't we be going all over the place? Like, shouldn't we go all over the place just to find knowledge? Brandy says Hermetics is Hermes, alchemy is from alchem chem. Yeah, I understand where alchemy comes from, right? But just because they named it out, just because it came from chemet, doesn't mean that that knowledge didn't originate elsewhere. Like if Keith Garcia, if I take my knowledge, if the world ends tomorrow and I start teaching people spirituality and philosophy, and I teach someone in California, and I teach someone in Texas, and I teach someone in New York, and California is the most famous for whatever reason, they have the best marketing campaign, and they could be like, oh, this knowledge is Cali knowledge. And someone's like, well, it's called Cali because it's from California. And it's like, it's not from California. It just was made famous by California. And so that's what I'm saying. The teachings that we love so much were made famous by Egypt. But just because something is made famous there does not mean it's the origin. Does not mean that's where the most truth lies, or where the most interest lies, or where the most diversity in teachings lie. Like I haven't done this yet, I would like to, but if you went to Quetzalcoatl was a bird, Thoth, a bird was Thoth was the ibis, right? So even the personification comes in the same animal with the same teachings from the same direction at the same time with the same cataclysm story, the flood. It's an outsider coming to teach people that it's all the same story. So right, I'm not this. I don't mean to criticize anything about Cam. I just mean to say that was just one spot. It sounds like that was just one spot, and maybe we should start digging just as deep as we do into Egyptian lore, Thoth specifically, and digging with as much tenacity into, say, Quetzalcoatl. From the Quetzalcoatl was Mayan, or it was Mayan. But mine covered a whole bunch of groups. Have you guys seen that documentary on Netflix yet? It was super good. Graham Hancock did a phenomenal job. Oh man, the presentation of that and tying everything together, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Hey Goose, I think all religions have a source, but it's hard to connect it because of the communication barriers that are put up between themselves. Yeah, I'm not saying it's gonna be easy. I'm just saying where I almost want to stop calling Thoth Egyptian. That's where I am. And this video is just me thinking out loud. I'm not like, this is the way. I was having this thought this morning thinking, yo, I need to detach Thoth from Egyptian lore, because it almost subconsciously discredits other lore outside of outside of that pantheon. Even the Egyptians, when you read about Thoth, it was a dude who came and taught him stuff, and they sort of deified him. They were like, hey, Thoth, you slay, so we'll add you in. We'll make you one of our gods, which is kind of, it's cool, but at the same time, it's limiting. It's like if I were Thoth, I'd be like, no, I'm not an Egyptian, bro. First of all, I'm Atlantean. Our civilization collapsed. There was a great cataclysm, the flood again, and I had to leave. And I'm spreading my knowledge. I'm not Egyptian, right? I'm not Quetzalcoatl. I'm not Mayan, not Indian. I am an Atlantean, spreading my knowledge across the world. So don't get so hung up on like the god as much as the message itself. I think that was the thought I had to myself earlier. And I wanted to hear if anyone else had that same thought pattern, like when you're watching that series, that documentary, because it's a pretty dope documentary. Man, it was super good. Pro Troth, what's up? Sorry, we fixed the sound. Michael, the Goose, Brandy. John Milks. Hey, what's up, man? Long time no see. Every book and take account. So Brandy says either way, they met in the middle. Yes, that's what I mean. Either way, it's like fuck the name, you know. But I don't know why I feel so strongly in detaching Thoth from the Egyptian pantheon. Or I guess I kind of explained it. I feel like it's limiting, um, especially because, let's say objectively speaking, Thoth was this Atlantean. Without a doubt, was proven that he was this Atlantean that showed up to Egypt, taught his teachings, and dipped elsewhere to teach the same teachings. Um, the ancient Kemites were a people that were developed by their gods, um, their surroundings, their habitats, their culture. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Their culture. So they're gonna explain to Hootie, Thoth, his teachings in a way that makes sense to them, which is a very particular lens living in the desert as compared to people near the equator. They're going to tell stories that have an equatorial culture around it. Am I making sense? Everyone's going to have a piece of them when they tell a story. Everyone's going to have a piece of them when they relay information. There's no way you cannot, right? We're talking, in fact, it was law of cause and effect. You're always going to have an effect in the cause. You're always going to have a cause and the effect. So it's almost like we might get trapped in the words that they use and how they phrase something and how they see something, because they're almost tainted by their culture or influenced by their culture. Their lens is through their culture. So it's nicer, all right, just put Thoth down for a little bit and go pick up Quetzalcoatl, right? Because as far as I'm concerned, they're the same exact person. So let's see what Thoth had to teach under the lens of the Mayans, under the lens of the tribes that were down in the Amazon. You know, they're finding Amazonian artifacts, right? Uh, um, of Egyptian origin. You know, they found tobacco and cocaine in Egyptian tombs in Egypt. The New World is the only place. Tobacco only grows in the Americas. Coca, where cocaine comes from, only grows in the Americas. It does not grow in Egypt. It was not brought back to Egypt until the Europeans, well, in modern day. It was not taken back to Europe until the Europeans came over here. They were like, dope, cocoa, this is cool. Tobacco, we can smoke this. Sweet. Let's take this back to Europe. And like the 1500s this happened. But 2,500 years before that, somehow there's tobacco and cocaine inside of Egyptian tombs, right? So, point being, there's a lens that information is going to be given, and that lens is dependent on who's giving the information. So we should do our best to seek out each one. What do you guys think? But they all had the same message. I think Jesus said, "We were gods to my belief. Kingdom of God is in you." This is why I love the Assassin's Creed series. They are a little bit biased, but if you cross it with the Encyclopedia of Masonry, it really goes hard. I played the very first Assassin's Creed, and I loved it. And I haven't brushed up on them since. But I do remember the Assassin's Creed being a lot of symbolism in that game, man. I would like to see. You should do a video, man. Make a YouTube channel devoted strictly to Assassin's Creed and the Apocrypha. That would be pretty cool. Dude, I feel the same way. I have an issue with the Egypt thing. It's all fractal. Yeah, right. The Bible uses lions, and the Scandinavian use wolves as examples. Pasha, hello. They are lying about something. I mean, so I don't know who they are, and I don't know what something is, but yes, you're probably right. um, it could be lying. Are you guys familiar with the Younger Dryas period? By the way, for those of you that are just tuning in, the Younger Dryas period was the um, end of the last major ice age, about 10,000 BC. They think that a comet that the Earth caught the tail end of a comet, or anywho, I'll explain that part later. The Earth was showered with meteors, exploding in the atmosphere, colliding with the Earth, and they think that these meteors hit all over the North American continent in the ice shelf. Um, Manhattan was something like 3,000 feet under ice. A lot of people don't realize this. They're talking about global warming, like, oh my God, the planet's getting hotter. When really the planet's going back to how it usually is. The planet is usually way warmer than it is now. The carbon dioxide is usually way higher than it is now. 10,000 BC, Manhattan was under like 35. That's a fucking mountain. Like the mountain right here that I'm looking at is 2,800 feet, and it's massive, and it's still smaller than the ice sheet that was over Manhattan. Anywho, scientists think that this meteor, this comet tail that we flew through, just sprayed the ice shelf of North America, and all of that shit dissolved in in a matter of weeks. Like we're talking oceans of water all over the planet being released in a matter of like 9 days, which would make sense because every story at the same exact time has the same things. This serpent in the sky, or this tail in the sky, or this like something in the sky, and then flood, and it's like foolish not to be able to put the pieces together. And that's the Younger Dryas. That's what the Younger Dryas is. And so the reason why I titled this video Emerald Tablets, Younger Dryas, is because the story of the Emerald Tablets, the thing that's super cool, so the Emerald Tablets talks about, brush up on my tablets, that the Atlanteans were basically toying with some dark magic. And they basically tapped into something they weren't supposed to tap into, and they caused a sort of a darkness to be released. These shadow entity spirits that need human blood to be made physical were released. Thoth's dad was like, we got to do something about this. I think Thoth's dad went to the King of Kings, those 7 gods, and told them what happened, and they were like, you got to stop this. So Thoth's dad changed the equilibrium of the planet and caused the water. So it was a crazy story that's full of symbolism and needs to be deciphered. But it happened. Nonetheless. Pasha, there was, I think it was King Tut. Hold on, let's look this up real quick. Cocaine found in, it might not have been King Tut, might have been Simon. Maybe it wasn't King Tut. Hold on. Sudan, China, Australia tested positive for nicotine and cocaine, but it doesn't tell me which one. I'm looking. So after scientist Svetlana Balabanova made the strange discovery at the Egyptian Museum in Munich, she tested hundreds of mummies from the old world. Interestingly, cocaine was found only in the Munich Museum's mummies. The evidence of tobacco in the stomach of King Ramses II. That's who it was, and in King Tut's tomb. So they found it in the stomach of King Ramses II. So that's where they found it. I'm reading the article too. It says that they were attributing it to reckless archaeologists, um, until they found the sample inside of Homeboy's stomach, and then it was like, all right, that is strange. It's kind of actually jacked up that they're just cutting open dead bodies and like going through their stomachs. I mean, I guess it's been thousands of years, but I go up and cut someone's stomach open at the cemetery, and I go to jail for a really long time. But somehow these dudes are able to do it. Anywho, um, where are we at? I just got here. I'm behind. I'll catch up. It's all right, Vivian. Catch up. Catch up. They traded. The Odin religion has something called the world serpent, the Proseeda. Yeah, serpents are big too. They postulate that the thing with the serpent is, um, when the comets come through the earth, that the tail of the comet resembles a serpent. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's just one of the things that they speculate. The Bronx explains why it looks like with those big rocks, boulders. I've never been to New York. The Bronx has huge boulders or what? But yeah, you guys should check that out. The ice sheets stretched down into California, down into Nevada, like one solid ice sheet. It's pretty insane. And the planet is normally warm, humid, carbon dioxide levels upwards of 2 to 3,000 on average, with life flourishing. The biggest explosions of diversity, the biggest branches of evolutionary, or the biggest branching of evolution comes when the planet is warmer, when CO2 levels are higher. And scientists speculate that that's because plants are more productive. Because plants need at least 1,200 parts per million CO2 to bear the most fruit, to be the most disease resistant, to be the most bug resistant, to be healthy. A plant is healthiest when the CO2 levels are 1,200 parts per million, and right now they're at like 400. So they think that back in the day, whenever CO2 levels would go higher, there'd be more plant life. The earth would be greener. It would be warmer, more habitable. Right now, the earth we're still technically in an interglacial period. The planet is still cold. Still colder than on average. There's still less CO2 on average. There's still less plant life than average. Excluding human involvement. Humans are adding CO2 to the atmosphere, but it's still far below what it's supposed to be. Anywho, I'm just trying to imagine what it would look like for an ice sheet that's 3,000 feet tall, that spans the entire third or the entire half of the United States of America, to all melt and evaporate over the course of a couple of weeks. Like, can you imagine that? Also, Polynesia, Borneo, and all that. What's the other one that everyone goes to out there? It's Borneo. There's the famous one. Anywho, it's all Malaysia, Polynesia, right? Means many islands, but that wasn't many islands. I think I'm waiting for someone to do this who's got more time than I do. That Lemuria, because they say, oh, Lemuria was a continent in the Indian Ocean and it sank, or earthquakes or whatever. I don't think that's the case. Because there's maps that you can see there's maps of the planet you can see before the Younger Dryas period, when there's still glaciers and the ocean levels were lower. And Polynesia wasn't Polynesia. It was Uninesia. It was one solid landmass. And they found this pyramid, massive pyramid that they thought was a mountain, of course. But it turns out there's no way. It's a massive period, and they used the sonar or whatever, or LiDAR, whatever the one is where you can see underground without digging, that there was even two bigger structures deeper. They just haven't excavated them yet. And of course, the people local there talk of a legend where something came from the sky and there was a huge flood and it flooded and killed everybody. Same fucking story we hear from everywhere. And that someone came and taught them how to build civilization. Again, same fucking story. but that from basically Vietnam all the way down to Polynesia was one solid landmass. What if that was Lemuria? And then once the sea levels, they rose like 300 feet. And again, in a matter of weeks, shit's crazy. Hundreds of feet. That's like, if it raised hundreds of feet today, water would be, I think California would be gone. Except for the mountains. The Sierra Nevadas would be sticking out. Probably this mountain range next to me would be sticking out because this mountain range is upwards of 4,000 feet here in California. So the mountaintops would be great. But Los Angeles, San Fran, San Diego, Bakersfield, Fresno, Humboldt, everything not on a mountaintop would be underwater. I'm pretty sure Nevada would be underwater too, you know what I mean? And even and think about it. Where do nations put their biggest cities? On the water, because that's where it's easiest to get shipments. You import, you export near a large body of water, you're that much more efficient. New York, Miami, London, San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego, Seattle, like these are all ocean spots. It would make absolute perfect sense for, say, Lemuria to do the same thing, to have all their big port centers right up against the water, which are gone in the blink of an eye if water levels raise 200 feet in 2 weeks. No one survives it. Nothing. Steel won't survive that. As soon as steel gets covered in water, it starts to oxidize from the salt. That shit's gone in a few hundred years, let alone tens of thousands of years. Stone is the only thing left behind, which is why we see the temples, which is why, etc. You know what I mean? That's really all we find. Unless it's buried, like Göbekli Tepe, which was purposefully buried. And they've been able to carve, because it was purposefully buried, and they have no idea why. Göbekli Tepe is this massive complex out in Turkey. And they've been able to carbon date that at 10,000 BC. 10,000 BC, they have megalithic rocks at 50 tons. From people who were supposed to be hunting with spears. They didn't even know how to smelt metal back then. Like they couldn't even make iron shoes for their horses. Nothing. I think Lemuria was buried in Polynesia. I don't think it was some continent that sank in the middle of the Indian Ocean. Because this is the thing, when people hear, or at least when I would hear these stories, on Atlantis, it was earthquake and it sank. Lemuria was this continent. If you look at the Indian Ocean, like it could fit perfectly inside. Like, it's the maps that they show on YouTube videos, on documentaries and stuff like that, of where Atlantis could have been or where Lemuria could have been. And they show you the world maps, and they show Polynesia. That's not what it looked like 10,000 years ago, which is pretty recently. Those weren't a bunch of islands. That was a single landmass. So why wouldn't you just be like, oh, well, that's most likely that single landmass right there. They got buried when the fucking comets hit. I've heard the vibrations that Saturn gives off, by the way. Yes, I have. Everyone slap the like button so this video can go further. What up? Saturn's elemental energy is being enslaved, which is the frequency you hear it giving off. That's interesting. Brandy, sounds like you've been doing some rabbit holing. Everything is. I wouldn't say everything is true. I wouldn't go that far. I'm definitely not. What do you call that? I'm definitely not a. What's subjectivist? What's the fancy philosophical word for someone who believes that there's no truth? Relativism. I'm definitely not a relativist, which says everything is relative. I do believe that there is an absolute truth outside of human consciousness. Also, are you guys having a flat earth prism conversation out there or what? John Milks, curious what your story is. Yeah, I'm not sold on the prism dome idea either. I've watched the videos and I see um, how convincing and compelling the argument is, but uh, I've also seen where their points have been negated. Like both sides are negating every point that the other side brings up, and it's just like, all right, I can't even keep up with this anymore. How do you guys feel? You guys flat earthers? Are you guys globe folk? Do we live in a globe? Do we live on a flat earth? What do you think? What do you think? The truth is out there. Doodle 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 doo. Doodle 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 doo. Doodle 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 doo. I love that. John Milks, what are you doing flying higher than jetliners? 60,000 feet is stupid high, by the way. What were you doing up at 60,000 feet? Because don't your jumbo jets, aren't they flying around something like 30,000 feet? Truth and lie. We are to see past everything, which equates to a lie being true and truth being a lie. I think that might be overthinking it. I think that might be getting caught up in this, again, relativist sense where it's like I hear you, Pasha, but given what you just said, yin and yang, truth and lie, we already see past everything, which equates to lie being true and true. Like, as a thought experiment, I understand that, but how does one practically use that? Like, I wake up and when I have a cup of tea and I interact with the world, how does that statement apply to my life? Like, how does that bring me enlightenment? What does that look like on a give me an example of a situation where I can utilize that information? In other words, MCQ, what's cracking, man? What's cracking? Nice to see you. It's more like an egg, but we are a plane. Oh, Brandy's talking about the globe, right? Sorry, I feel like I might be hitting some of your guys' conversations mid-conversation. I didn't get to fly any further south than North Africa. Deployed 2 times in the Army. John Milks, that's right. You're an Army man. It's round and flat. It's... We had to avoid Russia. Dang, John Milks, so you're in it, man. You were in it. The Earth isn't flat. It's not a globe. It's actually hollow. The Earth is hollow. That's mine. That's mine, you guys. The Earth is hollow. There is an internal sun that puts out that gives off light, the electrons. That doesn't age you. That doesn't have destructive UV rays like the solar sun does. So that the grapes can grow bigger and watermelons can grow bigger, and we don't age. That's what's happening on the inside of the Earth. That's what's happening. Hey, what's up, everyone? Just tuning in right now. You missed the core of Emerald Tablets and the Younger Dryas. If you're just checking in and you have no idea what the Emerald Tablets are or the Younger Dryas is, let me know. Let me know, because they're 2 phenomenal topics, which will really make your world more interesting, whether you think the Earth is flat or sphericalish. I was basically saying that we need to chill with locking Thoth so tightly into like being a product of Egypt, I think is what I was getting at. Like, Thoth isn't a product of Egypt. Egypt is a product of Thoth. Just like The Mayan culture was a product of Thoth, and the Indian and the North American and South American at large greater. Um, acco- according to the Emerald Tablets, right? And according to the Emerald Tablets, if we're basing it off of that. Ooh, you guys want to find love on the new dating site? Nice. Hmm. Like, hold on, Quetzalcoatl, Quetzalcoatl. Man, yeah. Why is this? Hmm. A bum. Aztec culture. See, meaning Quetzalcoatl means precious serpent. Always with the snake. Always with the feathered serpent specifically. Hmm. Planet Venus. That's interesting. Yo, oh God, see, the plot thickens. Quetzalcoatl related to the god of the winds of the planet Venus of the dawn, right? Because Venus is known as the morning star because it's the first star you see on the horizon when the sun comes up. Is Venus, and what did Thoth call himself? The morning star in the Emerald Tablets. It's the same fucking person, feathered. The Egyptian said he was ibis headed. Ibis is a bird with feathers. Right, so we gotta take out. Just let it breathe a little bit. Let Egypt breathe for a little bit. Maybe start expanding. Like there's so much knowledge to be learned from other cultures, especially since we do like this. There's something with this Emerald Tablets that just reverberates on so many different genres of study. It always comes up somehow. There's something prominent with it, you know? Of merchants, arts, crafts, of God of knowledge. God of knowledge. Oh, he was the patron god of priesthood, of learning and knowledge. Come on! Am I gonna have to put my own thing on friggin' the younger Dryas or what? That's funny. His twin, Psychopomp, Solotl, the dog-headed soul guide for the dead. They had a dog-headed soul guide for the dead. Anubis? Is that sound familiar to any of you guys? Is it, Anubis? It's the same shit in every culture. Well, see, here's the thing. I say that, and you guys are like, or like, yeah, it's all fractal, and it's all based on the one thing, and like of course, like I knew that, and it's like, yeah, me too. But I don't. There's a difference between knowing something and then acting upon the implications of that thing. It's like, okay, if I know that, then why have I not looked to other sources of information, to other cultures for that information, so that I can get a different flavor of that information? Why not? The dude is a feathered god, feathered god, patron god of knowledge of the morning star. Like that is exactly what Thoth is, at least in the Egyptian pantheon. Hey, Cholula, and one of the biggest pyramids in the world is actually in Cholula, Mexico. No one knows about it. It's not the tallest, but it has the biggest, more mass than Egypt, basically. pyramid. Who was it devoted to? Quetzalcoatl. Another pyramid. And the same dude's name. Come on. He was even a god of the Toltecs. Man, there's some heat out there, right? There's some heat. There's some heat out there. Boy, bots. Yeah, the bots suck, dude. Earth is round, flat, hollow. Oh man, what the hell's Crowleyism? There's one thing I'm trying to avoid, I guess, is uh my kung fu. I say this all the time on the channel. My kung fu is better than your Shaolin. You know, and that shit pisses me off. It's like you're wrong, and I'm right. You're just not a high enough vibration. Otherwise, you would understand. It's my favorite one. You're just not on the right frequency. You need to enter the vortex. Otherwise, you would understand. I'm finishing up the Colburn. I'm not finishing. I'm about halfway through the entirety of the Colburn Bible, and it's cool because it's another lens for some of our favorite messages. You know, that the gods are useless. At least the lesser gods are useless. That they're human made and human fueled and exist to some degree, but only because humans don't care to see themselves as gods. So it's you're not wrong in saying that your favorite god exists, because in a sense it does, but it doesn't have to, and it's totally dependent upon you and the fuel you give it. When in reality, it's you are the sun, and it's sort of your place to well, yeah. Check actually. Let me see if I can find this. There's been some absolute heaters in this book these past couple of days I've been going over. It might take too long to look them up right now. The book of hymns is not necessarily too. The scroll of Yanua. Ah, man, where was it? Have you guys been keeping up on the Colburn Bible? You need to check out the Colburn Bible. You need to. The scroll of Ramkot. Where are we at? Oh, hold on, check this out. I'll read the scroll of Yanua for you guys. It's pretty short. Well, maybe not. That looks like a good. It looks like a 5-minute read or so if you guys want to hear an excerpt from the Colburn Bible, which this one's pretty gangster. The moon is made of Swiss cheese and Earth is chocolate lava cake. You know, it's funny. I actually am making my own cheese right now, and it's awesome. Oh, Crowley, as in the person from the early 20th century. Like if you follow Crowley, you're a Crowleyist. All right, that makes sense. All right, noted. I mean, there's Hermeticism, right? I guess we can't hate on all isms. Ism, I guess, is just to study up. Technically, hello, we're talking about emerald tablets and the Younger Dryas, and how we need to take Thoth or see Thoth as an entity that was preaching knowledge around the world and not be so hung up on the Egyptian aspect of it. It is an extraordinarily small piece of the entire puzzle, and his exact character is mimicked in dozens of other cultures around the world, teaching the same thing, calling himself the same thing, coming from the same place, made of the same. And as a result, we should take heed of different lenses that we can obtain his knowledge. The lens of a Mesoamerican culture, the lens of an Indian culture, the lens of a Northern European culture. They all have their OGs are all the same. Polynesian cultures, same. Australian Aboriginal cultures, same. Um, they aren't in the realm of the Rosicrucians. Oh, all right. All right, let's see here. Pasha, what's egregores? We're going to look that up real quick. Egregores. A non-physical entity that arises from the collective thoughts of a distinct group of people. Historically, the concept referred to angelic beings or watchers, and the specific rituals and practices associated with them, namely within Enochian traditions. So it's like a tulpa, except on a group scale, not an individual scale. But it doesn't necessarily mostly from novels, but also the Book of Enoch. Memetics, self-replicating units of culture. That's kind of cool. Memetics, study of information and culture based on an analogy with Darwinian evolution, even though Darwin himself said that he did not believe. Tulpa, it is down here. That's super cool. Okay, I guess we can carry on. Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more. Carry on, you will always remember. All right, let's read a bit of this scroll of Yanua. So it gets pretty dark. We'll do a little mind noise real quick, though. Check this out. There we go. Mind noise action. Bada bing, bada booma. Bada bing, bada booma. Where's my my room is too quiet. Where are you? I need. Oh, that dude's a gangster. What are you talking about? I did. Oh, you're gonna make me log back in? I swear, I already did this. We've been here, sir. Okay, cool. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to set an ambiance before we begin. I'm looking for my Daduke. Fantasy ambiance landscape. Rice fields down the Amazon. Jungle landscape. Fairy pond. Nah. What do you guys think? What kind of vibe you feeling? Magic soundscapes, huh? The dunes of Arrakis. Acoustic. Okay, you guys ready? If you could meet Thoth, what would you ask him? Whoa. I wouldn't ask him anything. I would ask him how he's doing. Oh, well, I guess that is a question. I would ask Thoth how he's doing. And I would mean it. Like, I honestly don't think I could, that, I can't. It's a charged question, you know? It's a charged question because you say, at first you want to imagine what's the one question I can have answered that will make me become an enlightened one. Which is fucking the silliest thing you could ask someone like Thoth, because he'll probably just be he'll probably disappear and never talk to you again. Like, clearly you're not ready for this shit. I'm out of here. Like, this is a waste of... He even says that in the Emerald Tablets. Remember the Emerald Tablets? When he's like, you better not fucking wake me up for some dumb shit, or you will lose the power to wake me up again. I forgot what chapter that's in, but he says that. He says, don't wake me up for no dumb shit, or I'm taking your fucking phone away. I swear to God, it says that in the tablets. So if I were to see Thoth, I'd be like, how are you doing, man, woman, entity? And I would want to have a conversation like, how's your journey been? How you feeling? Are you happy doing what you're doing still? Are you over the role of bringing humanity forth? Are you stoked? Are you ready to pass the torch? Like, do you have friends that could do this job so that you can go on to the next great adventure, the next great revolution of your own soul? Like, I would want to know his story or her story, its story. That's what I would ask Thoth. I would want to be entertained by Thoth, not lectured by him. Like, he's got all his fucking lectures all over the internet. Why would I want to ask him some shit like that? He'd be like, dude, have you not read my books? You invited me all the way out here just to ask me something that was in my books? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So that's what I would ask Thoth if I saw him. If I saw him, if I saw him, I'd ask him how he's doing. Michael Wallace, that's a great question. It's a great question. Can you guys hear the music going in the background, or is it too loud? Is it too loud? Come on. I'm not getting any comments from you guys, so it's making me feel like the video might be frozen, so I'm going to comment myself on my video and make sure that nothing weird's going on. Okay, it's coming through. Cool. Oh man, you missed the whole world, Goose. You missed the whole world. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm your host, Keyth, man of letters, here to bring you knowledge, information, and hopefully at the very least a bit of entertainment. We're going to read the scroll of Yanua, the scroll of Yanua. It is chapter 14 of the Book of Scrolls of the Colburn Bible. Please listen carefully and absorb what you can. Know that regardless if you can make total sense of it at some level, The shit's resonating. And the latent faculties within your soul, waiting to be struck like the chord of a piano, will reverberate with the synchronistic and harmonious vibrations of this neighboring object. You ready? Here we go. Let me know if the music is too loud at any point. I have a new fancy microphone and it doesn't pick up too many external sounds as it's supposed to. But that means the music's kind of quiet, so if it's too loud, let me know. Alright, here we go. Chapter 14, The Scroll of Yanua. Away from my eyes, O hideous one. Slink back into the dark shadows about the black, sunless abode where dwell the self-distorted souls of the fearsomely formed ones, back to your murky haven of somber compatibility. Away, out of sight, for your repulsiveness brings back into my heart the thoughts of evils and temptations I have encountered and overcome. Thoughts which I now so gladly forget. You poor, doomed fiend, misshapen, horny-headed, slit-snouted, stunted in arms and legs, horrible to behold. What dreadful thoughts and unclean deeds must have been yours to fashion you in this manner? Away, back to your own kind. Back from the twilit border where you lurk furtively, afraid, pitifully seeking a glimpse of the bright joys denied to you by your own folly. Back to the place with which you have pitiful affinity. Back to your own dark, compatible companions. Yo, check this out before we go. I can't not fucking say something when we're reading this, right? I have to. Notice time and time again how it talks about that you fashioned, that you made it back to your murky haven of somber compatibility, right? Back to where you're compatible with, fashioned in your manner. It says back to your own dark compatible companions. In the previous chapter before this one, it talks about people being judged after they die, and their soul, after their body's left behind on earth, they have they have their same appearance, but is their soul appearance, and their soul appearance is molded by their deeds on earth. Not only their deeds, but their thoughts, right? Because they are inextricably tied together, and the people are shown themselves, right? So, and if they are hideous to behold because of their thoughts and their deeds, they jump into the welcoming arms of the blackness, into the murky hell, essentially. Not because they were doomed there, but because their soul knows they can go nowhere else, because that's their new affinity. That's their new vibration. That's their new resonance. That's their new compatibility. That's their new, as the book says, affinity. So it's cool that in this book, we still see the resonance, right? That's the harmonious of the synchronistic vibrations of harmonious neighboring objects. We get our law of attraction, which isn't a magnetic pull, right? Because it's also the push of electricity and the pull of magnetism. It's both push, right. We'll continue, but just keep that in mind, that that's sort of what's going on. It says, good evening, Jesrina. It says, the guardians of the hidden gates repel you, lest you befoul the pathways of the glorious ones, who once struggled to find beauty and cleanliness. The light of this place is ever spreading, and soon a glorious one may walk where you now slink in the gloom, back back from the dividing flame, back into the sad comfort of enveloping darkness. See, it's sad, it's dark, it's murky, but it calls it comfort again. It's comfortable. The dark is comfortable to dark people because they resonate with it. They have an affinity for darkness, so darkness is their comfort even though they do not find peace there. It says, back to your foul companions in misery. Back into the mercifully enshrouding gloom. Your fate saddens my heart. Can you find consolation there, hidden in the comforting darkness? Does a kind word ever lighten the burden of your days? Is there a place of rest among the slime and excreta? O fallen one, who once walked earth so proudly in self-esteem, selflessness, and arrogance, go back, torment yourself no more with the sights of beauty and joy which lie beyond your reach. Right? Torment yourself no more with the sights of beauty. And we can see that on earth, right? We can see that when we are in the depths, when we are just when we are at our lowest point, how easy it can be to see something beautiful and be like, fuck that. How we can hear a beautiful song and be like, fuck that. Like, no, we don't want the happy songs when we're feeling sad. We want to listen to the sad music. We want to listen to the breakup songs. We want to listen to the heartbreak. We want to listen to the Nirvana and the distraught shit, the angsty music. I think of the angsty teenager. That's what we want when we're feeling dark. It says, O repellent one, who by wrongdoing and non-good doing thus cursed yourself and were delivered into the comfortless arms of decay and filth, who on earth appeared arrayed in such deceptive softness and complacency, who dwelt amid pleasure and luxury. Away back into the shadows, hide yourself from the pure gaze of the glorious ones. O squirming one, turned back are you. The shameful flesh is unworthy even of the flame. Wow. Whoever this person is, they're giving it to him. It says, your shameful flesh is unworthy even of the flame. The unshapely mass, unchiseled by the forming blows of self-discipline and selfless service, unmolded by the touch of compassion and love, unpolished by conformity to the burnishing blows of sincere goodness, has no place near the region of revealing light. See, you are not seared with pain when the pure light falls upon you. Miserable indeed is your lot in that dread, dreary abode. You see, your slimy hide shrinks from the pure glare. It splits, it cracks, back into your dark cavern with its floor of slime. Back out of sight, out of hearing, back from the pure gaze of righteousness. How miserable the lot of one who finds unconsoling comfort in the depths of dread darkness, lit only by shadowy gloom. That shit hitting you or what? It's like how miserable it is that you find comfort in the shit. Like, God, you have sunken low to the point where you have no other affinity but for that. You find no other comfort than the. So I mean, this book's hitting, man. He says, how awful to dwell in companionship with distorted shades. What became of the loveliness which once clothed you on earth? Whose fault that you brought it not with you? Did you ever pause, even for one moment, to gaze into the self-revealing mirror within you and see the awful creature you were forming? Amid your pleasures and your luxuries, did you not think of the well-being of your inner self? Did you not care? Oh, if I could help you now. But the hideousness was set firm in the furnace of death. And then the enveloping flesh was stripped away, and the hidden horror within the mold was revealed. As the butterfly emerges from the chrysalis, so should the soul emerge from its earthly body. An unnatural thing like this was never intended, yet you freely made that choice. Not a single disfiguring line was made by another. What words are those which rasp forth from the unlipped, fish-shaped mouth? O ears, say you deceive me. O heart, cease this pounding clamor. O hand of horror, release your awful grip. Would that I could swoon, that I could find relief in unconsciousness, but facts have to be faced here as on earth. I must look in trembling terror. Yes, I loved earth. Nothing there was more precious to me than my sister in love. I forgave her willfulness and was not stirred up when her words were unkind. I even remained a man of cool temper. I clothed her well, and good food she never lacked. My heart sang in her presence. I rejoiced in her loveliness. She was my life, my wife. Yet she was unfaithful. She was cruel. She found pleasure in deceit and perversion, and as the years passed, they became heavy, clouded, and bitter because of her wayward ways. O horror! O terror! O cringing fear, keep away from me. O my eyes, my heart, it is true. It is the one I loved. Oh, let me die once more, that consciousness may pass from me. It is her whom I loved, she for whom I waited in joyful anticipation, hoping to find the light of my youth, hoping the overlay of later evils would be sloughed away by death, hoping to find the warm, throbbing loveliness I once held. I would gladly have forgiven the pain she caused in her maturity. Oh, but what has become of the smooth flesh, the warm touch? Where is the beauty of the face, the grace of form? Raise not the crocodile-skinned arms to shield the awful snout, the green-rimmed, red-veined eyes. O racing heart, I hear the misinformed words amidst the hiss and gurgle issuing forth from the oozing aperture. Oh, say not that I was so blind, so greatly deceived that you cared for naught but the earthly things we shared, that your affection was the false front of hypocrisy, your love a lie. Did I not always forgive? Was I not always patient? With whom did you share the terrible thoughts and desires that fashioned you like this? Surely this cannot be the work of your own nature alone. Fickle you were, and pleasure-loving, selfish, cruel, and deceitful. But all this I forgave. Was this not enough? Where is the companion I awaited, lost and worse than lost? Oh, compassion, oh, mercy. There is no hope, and there is a way. There is a hope, and there is a way. But between this self-shaped horror and the glorious ones, there is an uncrossable chasm. In sorrow and anguish, it must seek a road. It must go its own dark way, as you must go yours in the light. Please turn back, turn again towards the light. The compassion in your own heart does not to bridge the gulf between you and her, unless it strikes a responsive spark within the other heart. Let the memory be erased. This is not the companion of your path. The trials and sorrows borne so well, the uncomplaining unselfishness fashioned you in glory. Nor would you have reached the present degree of perfection had she not been as she was, and is now revealed to be. This fearful fate was wrought by the lost one alone, for each is the sole keeper of his or her spirit. Each soul is fashioned by every thought, desire, and deed, every emotion that touched it during its sojourn in an earthly body. Each is the maker of his own fortune. Each is the maker of his own future, the fashioner of his own being. End scene. I remember I read that the other day and I was like, whoa. So what was happening was a man died and was waiting for his wife, super stoked to see her in the afterlife. But when he finally saw her, he saw her I wouldn't necessarily say her true form with a capital T, but at least the form she chose for herself by her every thought, desire, and deed. Each is the maker of his or her own future, the fashioner of their own being. Pretty intense, huh? Now, whether or not it actually goes down like that when you die is another conversation, but it is, again, talk about the lens, because we're used to saying, or I was raised Catholic, so I'm like, all right, you die in the gates of heaven, and there's Saint Peter, I think, at the gates, and he goes with his book, and he goes, oh, good or bad, and the person's there at the podium, and oh fuck, I'm bad, and he's like, sorry man, you're going to hell. I'm like, no, and he gets, the floor opens out from underneath him, and he falls into hell. Which may you know what I mean? Which more or less might be what happened. But what I like about the Colburn Bible is it's sort of the words it uses with resonance, or with compatibility, and finding comfort in the darkness, and the affinity for the darkness, and how the light cracks the skin and it blisters the skin and it blinds the eyes, is almost like there's not a man saying you're not good enough for heaven. It's saying if you've blackened your soul enough, then upon death, having your true self formed, you yourself choose to be in hell, because you are no longer, you find more pleasure in hell than you do in heaven, because you've become so twisted. And that message is far more fucking powerful than some dude that has your name in a book like Santa Claus and puts you on the naughty list, But yeah, that is the Colburn Bible, Book 3, the Book of Scrolls, which is pretty cool. They're not all as cool as that last chapter. The last few chapters are like songs, like, oh, blessed one, in your mighty glory we are unworthy, but in your name we will become worthy, help us. It's like kind of standard sort of religious hymn song stuff. But yeah. Josh Charlesworth says bad thoughts make people ugly and good thoughts make people more attractive. I mean, yeah, you said it yourself. It is, I would say it's not necessarily as black and white as that, because you can have right as above, so below. The internal reflects the external and vice versa. But I'm sure we don't have to look very far to see how attractive people can be some of the most terrible ones. Think of someone like Hitler, like a highly magnetic man, highly attractive man, in the sense of the way he was able to attract the masses to do his bidding. But that doesn't mean he was a good person. So we got to be careful with, again, that's what I appreciate about this book, or specifically about this last chapter, is that it speaks of affinity, it speaks of comfort, it speaks of resonance. It is what it is, and it is what it is. You just have to follow a certain set of rules to get people to follow you. And those rules aren't ethical rules. There's just you just have to follow a certain set of rules to get people to make yourself more attractive, right? And those rules to make yourself more attractive, like we're talking about, aren't ethical rules. I could come on here and say, I'm a master of this and I'm a master of that, and I can pay someone $1,000 to ghost write a book on spirituality for me on Fiverr and take some cool pictures, learn some bullet points, and portray myself as like a guru, and that's highly attractive. And people be like, oh my god, Keith, did you read his book? Like, it was amazing, and like, oh, the thoughts he shares, it's so amazing, like, I'm so attracted to him, etc., etc. Little do they know that I'm just a total fucking fraud. So yes, I agree, Josh, bad thoughts and good thoughts do make you more or less attractive, but it's not as black and white as that. There's definitely a lot of room for nuance in there, a lot. That's not it. With that being said, there is something to say about people who are super dark side and how you feel around them, and people who are super light side and how you feel around them. Like being around someone who does meditate under a fucking waterfall twice a day for the past 30 years and is just tapped into the Akashic records like it's his goddamn job. Like, and you feel that coming off of them 100%. 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%. I just wanted to note the nuance of deception, which is, again, what the Colburn Bible has been talking about. And this chapter and the one before it is like, yo, you can do whatever you want on earth. I think, see if I can find... The chapter before this is pretty cool. The chapter before this talks about the scroll of Yanua? No, the scroll of Ramkat. The scroll of Ramkat. And it talks about Judgment Day. And it's like, for example, it says, one arrives, meaning a soul comes in. Now no earthly body shields the whore, which is the true likeness of the evildoer upon earth. He runs from the light which he cannot tolerate, and hides himself in the shadows near the place of terror. Soon he will be drawn to his compatible place among the dismal company. You know? Where's this other one? The way they worded it was like... Hold on, the whole chapter goes that. One arrives, he's been upright and just. One arrives, he trembles before the unseen. One arrives, she graced the court with beauty. Men sang of her loveliness and grace. Now, as when a mantle is removed, all is discarded. It is the time of unveiling. Who can describe the lustful thoughts and secret unclean deeds which fashion the horror coming through the portal? It's like, she was beautiful, but none among us can describe how terrifying this soul was coming through the portal. It says there is a hush among the compassionate. Like they just were, even so, the people who were compassionate, despite how evil this person was, they didn't say anything bad. They just didn't say anything at all. There is a hush among the compassionate. There was one though that really sort of really got me. Oh, this was an interesting one. It says, one arrives, neither goodness nor wickedness bears down upon the scales. The balance remains straight. The soul departs to the twilight borderland between the region of light and the region of darkness. So it's like, oh, there's even an in-between world. Someone in the comment section said Earth is purgatory, which in a Christian lens, specifically Catholic, purgatory is the in-between realm. You're not as bad for hell, you're not good enough for heaven, and you sort of sit, the idea is you sit above the flames of hell in purgatory, and the flames of hell burn and purify the soul. So you're tormented, but you're by being burned constantly alive, but that's just purging you of your sin, which is one way to see purgatory. You could say that Earth is purgatory, but this book, the in-between realm isn't Earth. The in-between realm is its own realm on the other side, which I thought was interesting, because I was like, all right, if I at least don't make the good realm, can I at least make the in-between realm? Like, that place didn't seem too bad. It was just the, you know what I mean? It was the in-between place. Sorry, I was checking something. Hey, you guys, please buy me a coffee or something with the super chat. Dollars are welcome here. We've been pushing the midnight oil, and it's getting real out here. And if you guys are experiencing buffering with the video, just refresh the video. By the way, I forgot to mention that. Josh Charlesworth, you feel them. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I had a toxic ex who sounded exactly as this dark being spoke of. Definitely more to human nature. She was beautiful, but was liar and lust trickster at heart. Well, the thing with I feel like with women, generally speaking, women tend to be highly emotionally intelligent. So when men go dark side, it tends to be physical because like that's what we're good at. We're strong. We can break shit. We go to war. Like we'll just drop fucking nukes on each other because we're like, fuck you. Here's eat my nuclear warhead, you son of a bitch. Like that's what men do. Whereas because we're like brute monkeys, but women are a little more. I feel like they're a little more refined in the mind, a little more emotional intelligence, which means when women go dark side, that I've experienced some pretty wild uh, encounters that you're describing. Not that I didn't deserve it, but I feel you. I feel you. I do. Um, and I don't mean to generalize. Men can be highly emotionally manipulative, and women can definitely be more physically abusive. I'm generalizing. Um, I was reading this really fascinating psychology book, an old psychology book from like the early, like the 1940s, I think, not that old. Um, and it was talking about, anywho, never mind. Milk. Hey, thanks for the donation, John Milks. I appreciate the hell out of that. Um, I really do. There's a coffee. John Milks, you just bought me a coffee. I appreciate you, brother, so much. And everyone else who's here. We have 20 likes and 17 people watching. That's great. Hell yeah! Thank you guys for liking. Thanks for even hanging out. Shit. Thanks for spending time with me. It's a Saturday. You guys could be like watching Netflix or partying or seeing some live music. There's a lot of people watching sunsets and shit. There's a lot of beautiful things you guys could be doing out there. So thank you so much for sharing some of that time with the squad. Also, I have a serious question. All 16 people who are watching now. Serious question. Or serious predicament. I love these audiobooks. And I love the live readings and I love the commentary and stuff like that. I'm really torn, man. Like when I do my official audiobooks, like the last few Colburn Bibles, like really nice quality. There's music in the background. There's no background noise, no dogs barking. The music is crisp and on point and dialed in. It's a production. But this wall, like my neighbors can hear everything I'm saying. I hear there's like 4 of them in the kitchen. They're all laughing, talking Spanish and shit, doing their thing. They're homies. I can hear every word they're saying. They can hear every word I'm saying. They just got a dog. Those neighbors have a dog. Those neighbors have a dog. If any one of these like 7 dogs that are immediately around me barks, they all bark. And so, point being, it's sort of been a nightmare lately to record audiobooks, which I love doing. So, from a viewer's point of view, from your point of view, exactly what I just did. I read this last chapter, right? Would you say, honestly, that the entertainment value, would you be just as inclined to watch a live version where it's like there's going to be dogs barking, the music's going to be playing from my computer into my microphone instead of directly into the software, so it's not as clean? You know what I mean? Are you okay with a more raw version of something like this and sacrifice quality? Because at the rate that I'm going right now, it's going to take me an ungodly amount of time to to get out of this house and into a new place that's quieter, so I can so I can sit down for 8 hours and slam an audiobook and really make some magic happen. That's my question. Like, where are you guys' heads at for something like that? I'm curious. However you give it, I enjoy it. All right, Shalvi Israel. Noted. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter. It doesn't bother me all too much, a goose. All right. John Milks is down either way. Raw. Kelsey, thank you kindly. Says, yes, it's okay. I watch a dude sitting in a forest every once in a while. He even greets passerbys. Fuck yeah. I love shit like that. All right, because what I'm thinking is I'm going to finish. I'm already like 60% of the way through this book. So I'll finish this book proper. I'll wait for the dogs to stop barking. If I can let the trash truck drive by. If the neighbors are being loud, I'll stop and come back an hour later, which is what I do now. I'll finish the book as it is. And then maybe the fourth and final book of the Colburn Bible, I'll do raw. Or maybe I'll finish the whole Colburn Bible so it's uniform. And then do other books and just run them raw, start to finish, minimal commentary, and do it that way. Because it's like, I need to grow the YouTube channel. I need to get more subscribers. I need to get more views. I need to get more Patreon and channel members, because my goal is to push the passive income of the YouTube channel up to like monthly earnings from the YouTube channel. If I can get it to like, God dare I even say $2,000, but anywhere from like $1,200 to $2,000 a month off of YouTube, I'm in a position, plus my day job and my Etsy shop and stuff like that, I'm in a position to not move wherever the hell I want, but do a serious upgrade on my recording conditions. And it's realistically speaking, it's not that number's not far off. Right now I'm making like, if I'm active on YouTube, I'm giving you guys some behind, totally irrelevant to Emerald Tablets and the Younger Dryas. I'm just giving you some manalitters behind the scenes right here. But we're making anywhere from like 50 to 275 a month. If I'm pushing content and I'm getting lots of shares and I'm getting, like John Wilkes shot me $5. If I'm getting like one of those every live and I'm active, I'll make 275 a month with the following I have now, which is not that much. It's only 16,000. So like say I got up to 50,000 subscribers. Then I would easily be pushing 70. This is where my mind is at. I'm like, fuck it. But God knows how long that shit's gonna take. So I'm like, maybe I should just do it raw. Just start doing raw recordings so I can get more content out there. I'm afraid of sacrificing quality. I'm like, all right, well, I don't want to put out a subpar video because, the dogs are barking. So that's been my hesitation. It's like quality or quantity, or can I get away with something people like in its raw form? Which from you guys' feedback seems like it's okay. And then there is a magic of doing something live too, just like playing music. There's a difference between singing in the studio and singing in front of 5,000 people. Like I had a show yesterday, and it was nowhere near studio worthy, but the energy was beautiful, and like the interaction was beautiful, and it was so much more fulfilling. So, that being said, thank you for your feedback. Kelsey, Stefano, Josh, Jess, Rena, Bina. I like the raw version. You like the raw version? Okay, cool. Nice, noted. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll finish the Colburn Bible professional, and I'll just start pumping out raws. That sounded weird. Pumping out raws. In the meantime. But, oh, Stefano, well said. Man, I love a good analogy. That's beautiful. Never be afraid of sacrifice, Stefano says. Trimming the cuts leaves the good meat. Man, that's beautiful. Josh, I have clones. And tell me you came from YouTube, and I'll cut you a fat discount. Maybe not too fat, because I gotta put food on the table. But I will if any of you guys are coming from YouTube, by the way, let me know, and I'll hook you up. Okay. But yeah, Josh, I got tons of not tons. I probably have a dozen frankincense cuttings left. I I know that pumping out Ra's comment, when I get to that judgment table like we were just reading, they can be like, hey, Keith, you look good for the most part, but that pumping out Ra's comment, like, come on, bro. Did you have to? And I'd be like, my bad. You can send me to the in-between Twilight Realm if you must. I'm sorry. It won't happen again. I will not swear to that. I will try not to have it happen again. All right. John Melks. You sing as well, John Melks? Have we had this conversation? Do you play guitar, John? Or was that someone else we were talking to? It's always better when people have a listen. I know, it is. If I can... Like, reading that last chapter, I find when I read stuff live that I read it slower and with more feeling, and because people are listening, I'm like conscious of every inflection on every syllable. It's like, what is this? You know what I mean? Whereas when I read stuff proper, I almost get monotone. I almost get like I'm just going through the movements. You know what I mean? So like there is a magic that's hard to replicate in the studio. But again, it's like trimming the fat, as you say. We just got to determine where we're trimming the fat at. Cool. You guys have anything else? Anything else? We've been on this live for an hour and a half. Hell yeah. Great. We're putting in work. True, Goose. True. The spirit reaches who needs to be reached. Yeah. All right, well. Those 19 of you, 20, what? Hey, so if you're just tuning in, we talked about Emerald Tablets, the Younger Dryas. We read from the Colburn Bible. We listened, we laughed, we cried. Some friends became enemies. Some enemies became friends. And that's just that's just how the cookie crumbles, baby. That's just how the cookie crumbles. So without further ado, I will speak with you all soon. Thanks for chilling and spending time with us. Whoa, sorry, I'm getting glitching. Oh, thanks for the kind words, Josh. I just saw your robot voice comment. All right. Love you guys. Thanks for hanging and chilling. And I'll see you very soon. All right. Enjoy your Christmas or your Yuletide or your solstice or whatever the hell it is that you celebrate. Just please make the decision to be thorough with your celebrations and thorough with your space. Because I get sad as I'm older at how that quote unquote Christmas spirit is gone, and I think it's because we've made it too complicated. I feel like less is more in times like these. Less is more. Get yourself some good scents. Burn yourself some good incense. There's nothing like the sense of smell to really fucking set a resonance for your whole space. You know what I mean? There's nothing like it, really. It's probably the most insidious of all the senses in that aspect. Keep it simple and enjoy yourselves. I'll now see you guys soon. All right, peace out. Thank you guys for chilling. See you in the next live.